Hello, I'm Brian Wilford, Member of Parliament for Richmond Hill, and this is MP Report. This week in Parliament has been a very busy week. I attended the Canada-Korea Society annual meeting and dinner. I'm an honored advisor to the Society. This coming week, the G20 will again be meeting in Seoul, Korea, and again it's to deal with financial issues, dealing with the banking system, dealing with trade concerns around the world, particularly at a time of a global retreat in terms of economies. The issue of protectionism, of course, has risen again, and the G20 will be looking at ways to deal with that, and obviously the currency issue, particularly the overvalue of the Chinese yuan as an example. I was pleased to hear the former Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs speak at the Korean meetings regarding the G20, and the former minister is now retired, did outline for us a number of issues, particularly concerning Canada-Korea relations, the importance of the proposed free trade agreement with Korea, and the stumbling block there is the issue of automobile penetration into the Korean market. Also this week I had the opportunity to see the unveiling of the film Barney's Version. Barney's Version actually was a book written by the late Mordecai Richler, probably our most prominent writer in Canada. And it was a Canadian production, and it was a production in which Robert Lantos was the producer. It starred Dustin Hoffman among others, and it really was set in Montreal and really gave an interesting perspective of life in Montreal from the 70s onward, and it will become a world premiere in December, and then in January in places as far as Italy, the Netherlands is concerned, and it was put on at the National Arts Centre, and again a promotion of Canadian theatre, Canadian talent, Canadian film. Also this week, at the Standing Committee on National Defence, we were looking at the F-35 issue, and again examining the sole source contract of the F-35s, and I will have an opportunity to go down to Dallas, Texas later this month to see where that plant is going to be producing the F-35 and ask some tough questions with regard to the capabilities, etc., of that F-35. I also have proposed at the Defence Committee the issue of empowering committees more in terms of, once we get a response from government, sometimes those responses are rather weak or do not really have a clear justification for the rationale in responding to recommendations from the Standing Committee, for example, the 18 recommendations we made on Arctic sovereignty. And so what I want to do is to get all party support to send this to the Committee on Procedural and House Affairs. There's a standing order called 109, and looking at how we can strengthen the role of parliamentarians. Parliamentarians, first and foremost, play an oversight role with regard to government legislation, government responses. And I think it's incumbent upon us to do a more effective job by making sure that we have the right tools in order to do that oversight and to hold government more accountable, regardless of who is in power, in terms of their responses. After all, we have lots of witnesses that come before our committee. We do a detailed analysis of the information. A report is made, it's sent to government. Government has about 120 days to respond, and often some of those responses are pretty weak. So we also need to set up important time frames, benchmarks, in order to look at progress of recommendations that are accepted, and also to challenge government in terms of those that are not accepted. Also this week, in Embassy newspaper, I had an article published on Burma. The Burmese elections are being held on November 7th, and very concerned about the issue of human rights in Burma. The continued house arrest of Aung San Suu Kyi, who is, of course, Burma's most famous dissident and opposition leader. The fact that 25% of the seats that will be held in the Burmese National Assembly will be reserved for the military. This is probably one of the most authoritarian regimes in the world. And again, highlighting the issue of human rights. Canada, of course, has been a great promoter of human rights traditionally, and we need to, again, respond to that. And this article certainly tried to address that issue, and that article will be on my website shortly. Also want to point out that the government announced that it is not supporting and did not approve the sale of Potash Inc. to BMHA, which is great news. I mean, I have support the issue of foreign investment. The issue is one of foreign ownership to control by outsiders. The majority of the board of Potash Inc., which is in Saskatchewan, is Canadian dominated. And potash is a very, very important resource, particularly in the agricultural field, and we don't want that to fall into foreign hands. The Australians themselves have blocked, for example, foreign takeovers of domestic oil companies, and Canada really, to have a resource of that nature fall into foreign hands would not be in the national interest, and I applaud the government for doing what we have been pushing for the last few weeks, and that is to block that sale. As Member of Parliament, I want to point out to you that again we continue to respond to many queries on various bills from individuals from the riding, and I'm going to also indicate that we have various newsletters going out. One of them, of course, is on Veterans Week as we approach Remembrance Day on November the 11th. We need to take time to remember those who have fought for this country, those who made the ultimate sacrifice. We need to thank a veteran for what they have done for Canada. And please take the time on November the 11th to pause and to give thanks for those who have given so much to Canada. Again, this is Brian Wilford, and this has been MP Report. Thank you.